Hello and welcome to another episode of Zero Weight Gaming. We are actually playing a new game, a demo for Mario Tennis Aces. This is a new game coming out on June 22nd, 2018. It's going to be coming out at the full price point at $59.99, and it is, surprise, surprise, a sports game about tennis.
Yeah. And shockingly, this is a Nintendo Switch Mario Tennis game.
Yeah. And this was actually like one of those, what do they call these? For the test that they have put out there for everyone to be able to play online.
Slash demo.
Yeah. And this is a game, as far as the time to player control, was pretty much instantaneous, although it did come with a very lengthy tutorial that went over a great deal of stuff. Lots of text to sort of skip through. I honestly didn't read most of it.
Me neither. Yeah, we're not the guys for reading text.
Yeah, but it went through a lot of very deep mechanics that, you know, from very start, you start to realize, like, wow, this is a very, very deep game for you to become very technically proficient at if you put the time into it.
Yep, you got power shots, trick shots, super moves, various forms of recovery, slow motion, a charge meter to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, you get your Joy-Cons out, and you're going to be, and like almost every single button in your Joy-Con is going to be used for this game, which for a tennis game, that's pretty surprising. You go back to the Wii, and all you did was shake your Wiimote and, you know, move your nunchuck around to get across the screen.
Right. Yeah, this one supported the grip-style double Joy-Con, supported single Joy-Con play. I couldn't find motion controls, but in previous footage of people playing the game, motion controls were an option. So lots of different ways to play it.
Yeah. And our instinct was just that it might have been disabled in this game, just make sure everyone was on an even playing field.
Yeah, I think they have to change mechanics for motion controls to work.
Yeah, and I would suspect that, you know, in the full game, you know, you're going to have two different modes where you're going to play with the motion controls or you're not. Or it might be like a Mario Kart 8 where you just, you know, get to share with everyone, like, I'm using motion controls! So everyone feels sorry for you.
Yeah, and there is value there. I think the way we played it was a shockingly deep Mario Tennis game. I was completely unprepared for just how deep this game was.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been watching, like, demos and, you know, the trailers coming out, and, like, you see the characters do all this cool stuff, and you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, that's typical Mario sports stuff, but you actually get to playing the game, and you're playing against other people, and it's just so surprising to, you know, see what people are able to pull off. Like, I was playing some matches where I was just astonished by what the other player was doing.
Yeah, and on the flip side, before we move on to the good stuff, I just wanted to point out that, you know, I hope that there is like a simplistic motion control version, because sometimes you just want to swing a controller around and hit some tennis balls.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that makes it more fun if you're playing with somebody who isn't that good in video games, because...
Yeah, right. Children and the elderly.
Well, and it's interesting, because this is like such a difference from, you know, where Nintendo was on the Wii, where everything was being simplified so anybody could come in and play it. But, you know, if you put this game in, you know, in front of somebody who just came off of Wii Sports and said, hey, here's another sports game you can play, and they started, you know, going to just the tutorial, they're going to be lost so fast. Yeah,
right. I definitely took a few matches before I really felt like I was understanding what was going on. So some of the cool mechanics, probably my favorite was, I think they called it the trick shot, where... You know, the big problem with tennis is if you're playing a character like Bowser who's slow and strong, and your enemy is a Yoshi or a Toad who's super fast, they can just ping-pong you to opposite corners of the court and win by tiring you out or waiting for you to miss. But the trick shot is kind of a slow-motion warp move that gets you to the ball, assuming you do everything correctly, and kind of cancels out the speed advantage to some extent, as long as you have the skill to pull it off.
Yeah, which is a tricky technique. I was never able to master it, but, you know, I was playing against some players who, you know, who are using it, you know, consecutively several times without ever missing. So I mean, it's obviously something that works.
Yeah, I was using it fairly well myself, if I do say so myself.
And then on top of that, you just don't have one button for hitting your ball back. You use the Y, B, and A buttons, and they all have different ways of affecting how the ball is returned. I wasn't quite sure exactly how it worked, how it would have made them different, but there was some influence on there. I'm sure if I paid more
it was
attention
like
to the
a
text.
slice and a spin. Yeah, if you know anything about tennis, which I don't think either of us really do, it would have meant something to you.
Yeah. So anyway, there's just a little bit of depth, even if you're just playing, pure tennis. Like I'm sure they're probably gonna have a mode in there where it turns off all of the. And I'm not sure if this would exist, but just a mode where all the special, unrealistic stuff is not there, and you just have a pure tennis game, and just having those differences right there makes it.
That was an option, by the way.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just having that technical difference there, I think makes it very interesting, just because you still have a deep tennis game without adding all the over-the-top stuff too.
Elements. Right. Yeah, it's very well done.
Yeah.
And some of the aesthetic stuff, it was really cool. Everyone had, the human characters all had tennis costumes, which were a lot of fun to look at.
Yeah, and, I think it might be a series first. We know it is for Mario Tennis, but we were looking at some of the other Mario sports game, and aside from Mario Strikers, which always had just a really weird style on its own, I don't think any of the other Mario sports games had characters, dressed like this, right off the gate. So
I can't think of one. Did we look at Mario Baseball? I'm doing that right now.
Yeah, I did look at Mario Baseball. At least one of them.
Standard Mario costume with the baseball bat. Yeah, so it might be a series first. Definitely for tennis, maybe for sports in general.
Yeah.
It was nice. It added to it. We had the usual toads and generic baddies like Koopa Troopas in the stands, and they all were dressed as if they were fans of particular characters. I saw a dude in a Luigi t-shirt, and they were holding up signs.
And that's always a nice thing about the Mario sports games, is when they put an audience out there, it's never just generic, textures out there like you see in other sports games. They always put, these fun, bright characters out there with lots of personality.
Right. The other thing, they also dug into the Mario franchise to build a roster a little better than I think a lot of the Mario games do.
Oh, for sure.
All of them up. So Mario, Peach, Bowser, Toad, Waluigi, Chain Chomp, and Spike were all characters we saw in the demo.
And then, of course, you still have Luigi, Wario, Daisy, Rosalina, Toadette, Bowser Jr., Boo, and DK have all been revealed.
Yeah.
And there might be some more. I imagine, people are going to, start data mining this demo and figure out what other characters are hidden in there.
Right.
And if there isn't Pauline in this game, I can already say, don't buy it, but...
Yeah, we don't know yet. There was an unlock system for characters. We both got to Waluigi. He was the first unlock.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like something got saved. If you buy the full version, you'll get it. I forgot what it was. Maybe it was Mario Kart.
If you just play just a standard match, you immediately unlock Mario's normal costume. So you'll be able to have Mario just appear in his regular plumber clothes, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
I'm wondering what kind of costumes they're planning on having in this game, because they've already introduced the concept of costumes.
Yes, that sounds like an avenue for amiibo support to me.
I could certainly see that.
Yeah. Well, maybe my Waluigi amiibo will finally do something. So,
Don't get too optimistic.
I'd be a little upset if the Waluigi amiibo actually did something. Having him be completely useless would be a perfect character. Anyway. So, yeah, based on the depth, the online play of the tournament system, and the fact that there's a single-player story mode, I think it justifies a full-price game.
Yeah, I agree, because you look at a lot of sports games, and a lot of times, if you're not a sports fan to begin with, because I know a lot of sports fans that just go out and, buy their Madden every year, even though, the price on those, decreases, rapidly on those, but... Yeah. But even for like non-sports fans, I feel like it's a good purchase, just because it does look like it's a very robust game.
Yeah.
Whether you're going to be playing it online or if you're more like me and you're just really in for just have it for local multiplayer or just to play it as a single player mode,
Yep.
it's certainly going to have that for you.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely seems worth it from what I've seen.
Some things we did notice, though, as far as online goes, and this is like a test, so it's not the absolute final product, but it is pretty typical for Nintendo Online, so.
Yeah, they're not the best at online services by any means.
Yeah, so there was like a few hiccups with matchmaking, just some drop stuff. I had a dropped game, which I wouldn't be too surprised if it was just a player rage quitting.
That was a long match for you, so.
Yeah, and then I did notice like some lag, like in some matches where I wasn't able to get off any of my opening shots just because I kept getting body shots every single opening serve and not being able to return them.
Yeah, which I think isn't too good of a lag. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
So, hopefully they'll be able to smooth that out by the time the full game comes out.
Right. I think it's one other thing I want to point out, what's kind of interesting. There was actually one match I was playing where I was going back and forth with one player. I'd finally taken the lead and I was very close to winning. I think I was going 40-0, and this is the last round. And so he does a power shot against me. I rush in to hit it back with my slow motion ability, and I'm too slow. I get hit by the ball. Shouldn't be a big deal. I'll lose a point, except it breaks my racket, and I get KO'd.
Yeah, your racket has a health meter.
Yeah, and that's way more important than I initially thought it was, because that ended the round for me. I lost, even though I had been the lead. I was very close to victory.
But you can't play without a rank. That was a tough break.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff in this game. I'm very curious to see what's left that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, for sure. Very curious about the single player mode and the rest of the roster.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think this, from what we've seen, it's well positioned to be the best Mario Tennis game they've done so far.
Well, I mean, besides Virtual Boy Mario Tennis, but I mean, we can't play them all in 3D, so.
Well, yeah, they never ported Virtual Boy games to 3DS, did they?
Yeah, what a waste.
Missed opportunity.
Alright, well, I think we both agree on this one, that this game is definitely worth continuing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think I will be pre-ordering this in a pretty short period of time here.
Likewise. Alright, well, that's all we have for you guys. We're out of patience, so get out of here.
Out of here.